Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, you guys, this is CBC from Canada, Montreal. And what I like is that this is fairly recent. So I know I get bummed out sometimes because it doesn't feel like a lot has happened or transpired regarding, basically disbanding Scientology and most specifically getting the children out. But I like when I see lawsuits that are more recent. So, this is not exactly regarding the children, however, it is important. Did the Church of Scientology pay what it's owed its employees? Now, in Canada, they categorize Scientology in a different way than they do here in America. What it is right now, can't think of it, but it's different. Church, CNESST, have reached out of court settlement, what I say about my opinion on settlements, in case of underpaid workers. And the lawsuit the Headleys had against Scientology, they didn't win. I have to go back and look to see what happened there. But I think the walls are closing in for Scientology, which is good. And anyone that wants to get out, I hope they see there's a way out, and get your children out first. By Gaëtan Boula, CBC News. May 6, 2019. In Quebec, the Church of Scientology has offices in Quebec City and Montreal. We will never know if the Church of Scientology paid its employees the hundreds of thousands of dollars that Quebec's Labor Standards Board ruled they are owed. Let me say that again. That Quebec's Labor Standards Board ruled they are owed Scientology. They are owed LAPD. The parties have reached a confidential, out-of-court settlement. The board, known by its French acronym, CNESST, has sought more than $750,000 Canadian on behalf of 62 people who worked at the Church of Scientology in Quebec City. Quebec is beautiful. Oh my gosh. Following investigation, it concluded those employees had been underpaid and were owed pay for statutory holidays or vacation time. The CNESST asked Quebec Superior Court to order the organization to pay the wages owed, plus interest and indemnities, for a total of more than $900,000. $900,000. Scientology. The CNESST opened its investigation last June after a report by Radio Canada's investigative program, Enquête, found that church workers were earning far less than Quebec's minimum wage. Radio Canada reviewed pay stubs that showed members of the Church of Scientology, like children, had been paid below minimum wage. For example, one member was paid $70 for nearly 40 hours of work in a week, less than $2 an hour. According to other pay slips, Some workers receive less than $40 for a week of work. In this pay stub obtained by Radio Canada, a staff member of the Church of Scientology of Quebec appears to have been paid just under $70 for nearly 40 hours of work. Out-of-court settlement. With the out-of-court settlement reached between the parties, the case is now closed. A spokesperson for the CNESST, Genevieve Trudel, said the terms of the settlement are confidential, just like a non-disclosure agreement, and would not comment further. It is plausible that the employer paid the full amount or just part of the sum. It is impossible to know. Sedalia Gesualde Fectau, a professor in the Legal Sciences Department at the Université du Québec in Montreal. She said it would be very rare for such an agreement not to include some kind of payment. The Church of Scientology did not respond to questions from Radio Canada. Religious workers. It's not known if the Church of Scientology is now conforming to Quebec's labor laws. Out-of-court settlements with the CNESST generally do not include such commitments, said Gesualde Fectau. This is not the first time the Church of Scientology has been investigated by Quebec's Labor Standards Board. No kidding. Radio Canada has identified 2 other cases, one in Quebec City and one in Montreal, which have also been settled out of court. A spokesperson for the Church of Scientology maintained last year that its personnel were not employees, but rather religious workers. They always use that, you guys. Every time. They voluntarily contribute to the activities of the church and its humanitarian goals. Can you imagine this, you guys? The most inhumane organization on earth. They don't work for monetary gain, but to help others, said Michel Lacombe, the group's director of public affairs for Quebec. Isn't that wonderful, you guys? Michel Lacombe, does that include the children that are locked up in the dirty rooms, sleeping on nasty mattresses with no sheets? Or, in some cases, they don't even get a mattress to sleep on. How about that, Michelle? If you didn't know, now you know. However, the concept of religious workers does not exist in Quebec's labor law. Oh, that's great, isn't it? Take that, Scientology. I have the impression that it's structural way of cheap labor, said Gesualde Facto. Documents reviewed by Radio Canada suggest the Church of Scientology is still recruiting workers. Children. Hold on. In recruitment mode. Since the Labor Board's investigation into the working conditions of Church of Scientology employees, the organization continues to recruit personnel. Children. Niños. According to new internal documents obtained by Radio Canada. Last fall, bonuses between $50 and $200 were offered for recruiting full-time workers. Staff are awarded a bonus for each personnel member, like children, signed or re-signed for 2.5 years or 5 years. Run, you guys, run. Reads a Church of Scientology document addressed to employees that suggests contracts have been signed with new workers. Play the game and recruit, concludes the message. Church of Scientology has offices in Quebec City and Montreal, and is present elsewhere in Canada and around the world. Listen to this, you guys. Escúchame. If you have information about the Church of Scientology, contact the reporter at gaetan.polio@radio-canada.ca. So any Canadians, are you listening? Like Lara sings, "Can you hear me?" Okay, Gatien Bolia is a reporter with Radio Canada's investigative program. And Kete, you can reach him at, anyways, I just said it, I'm not going to repeat it. I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day wherever you are. Peace.